Hey, deserving listeners, it's time to continue our journey watching 90 Day Fiancé. My name is Dr. Kirk Honda. I'm a therapist and a professor who makes reaction videos on YouTube. Sometimes I like to call them commentary videos because I feel like that's more what I do because I talk so much. All right, let's get to the show.
The last few days was very crazy for me. Colt and we got in a very huge fight about the money. And Colt took my phone because Colt is a cheap man. So Colt doesn't want to pay for my phone anymore. And I got arrested again.
All right, a little bit more detail. She says that he took her phone. I think he said he deactivated her phone. I don't know what the full story is there. Maybe we'll get some more details.
There's a lot going on. We have a lot of issues. You want to talk?
Yes.
A lot has happened. That was a unfortunate day. I'm not sure exactly how it happened.
I say, Colt, give me my phone. Just give me my phone. You took off my data and you took off the Wi-Fi.
Mm-hmm. I regret what I did.
So we're hearing a little bit more detail. He took the phone. He turned off the Wi-Fi and the data so that she couldn't communicate with anyone. That's a prime domestic violence behavior. It's a pretty big red flag. Why in the world would you do that to somebody? Why would you want them to not be able to communicate with the outside world? In what world would that make? You're fighting about something. You're upset about something. You're just like, give me your phone. You can't communicate with anyone outside of the world, besides me. Why would you do that? Other than that you're trying to control them, you're trying to punish them or something. You just can't imagine a rational, normal conversation or debate or argument resulting in that, right? All right, so that's when things escalated, I'm guessing. I don't know. But for him, he is now saying, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that. So we've seen this often on this show where people will apologize, but there needs to be a lot. Actually, let me go over the research on apology. Let me look it up just a second. Okay, so according to research by Kirchhoff and colleagues in 2009, they did a comprehensive review of 39 studies and identified 10 basic elements of effective apologies. Now, there's a couple reasons why I want to read this. One is so that we can assess his apology and really assess all the apologies that are done on this show. The other thing is that when you're apologizing, that you want to think about these 10 elements because they really address the full reason as to why we apologize for things. Because sometimes people think, well, I said I was sorry, so what's the big deal? But these other things really address that. So number one is a statement of apology for one's transgression, meaning it's just a simple opener of a statement of I'm sorry or I apologize. You need to say that word. Sometimes people will think they're apologizing, but they actually never say I'm sorry or they never say I apologize. So that's number one. Two is naming the offense, what I did. So he did number one and number two. He said, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that. Okay, so that's good. You want to name what you're apologizing for. Some people will apologize and they'll say something like, I'm sorry that you felt that way. Well, that's not the offense. You're saying you're sorry that they felt that way. You're basically saying they're dumb for feeling that way. That's often what it means. So you have to say what you're being sorry for. I'm sorry that I did that thing to you that upset you. Number three is taking responsibility for the offense, meaning that you give the vibe or a very firm statement that the offense that you're apologizing for, it's your fault. That's the meaning of an apology. I'm sorry for calling the police. I'm sorry for taking your phone away. And I take full responsibility for that. I should not have done that. There was no reason for me to do that. Number four is attempt to explain the offense, but not trying to explain it away. This is key. And a lot of times people will mistake this as like, well, I don't want to explain it because I don't want to have excuses. There's a big difference between excusing something and explaining something, okay? So excusing it, which is bad, Colt would say something like, well, if you hadn't have gotten so mad, I wouldn't have taken your phone. Okay, that's an excuse. An explanation is we were fighting so badly And I was getting so freaked out. I didn't know what to do. And in the moment, it felt like the right thing to do because I thought maybe if I got you away from your phone that things were going to calm down. But that was clearly a very terrible thing because I should never have taken away your ability to communicate with the outside world. That was terrible of me. You hear those two differences? One's an excuse, one's an explanation. It's actually really important that you explain because it helps the other person understand, oh, they've thought it through. They know why they did it. This is a critical element of an apology in my experience. Because some people will say, I'm really sorry I did that. I'm not going to do it again. I take full responsibility. It's all my fault. I'm never going to do it again. I'm sorry that I did it. But unless you convey to the other person that you understand why you did it, it doesn't inspire a lot of confidence in people. Because unless you have a conceptualization of what went wrong, you do not have a way of changing the situation in the future. And this is what a lot of people do on this show, is they'll say, I'm sorry, I'll never do it again. And then they do it again. Why did they do it again? Were they not sorry to begin with? Maybe, but they probably were sorry the first time. Why did they repeat it? Because they never took the time to figure out why they did what they did in the moment. They didn't figure out, why did I take away her phone? What was going on in my head in that moment? What happened there? If you can answer that question, or you try to answer that question, then at least you have some solution in the future. Like, well, I took away your phone because I was terrified you were going to post something on the internet that was going to make me look really stupid. And that's a real sensitive point for me. And you've done that before. You posted that really horrible thing about me, and that really, really hurt my feelings. And that's why I took your phone away. It doesn't justify, it's not an excuse, it was still wrong. But I think that's what's going on with me. I think I have a real big sensitivity to you posting angry, mean things about me on the internet. So in the future, if you could just maybe not do that while we're in the middle of a fight, then it won't provoke me. But I will also, if you decide to do that, I'm not going to take away your phone. That's just not the right thing to do. So it gives you some path forward to make a plan for the future such that you're not going to do it again. A lot of people on the show, they don't talk about that at all, ever. Number 5 is conveying an emotion, meaning remorse or shame or guilt or you're sorry, some felt emotion. Not just, I'm sorry I did that and I shouldn't have done that. I'm sorry I took your phone away. I'm sorry about that. All right. Maybe that's a little bit of emotion. It's a different thing to get in touch with your emotions and say, I am so sorry. It was wrong of me. I'm so disappointed in myself. I want to make excuses for it, honestly, but it's just to cover up my deep shame about it. I just feel really stupid. And I'm just so sorry. Okay. That's not me acting like I have remorse. That's me actually getting in touch with my remorse and then expressing it. Number 6 is addressing the emotions and or damage that you did to the other person. So you want to address not only that you did something wrong, but that it had an emotional effect on the other person. I'm sorry for taking your phone away from you. That must have felt really terrible to you, to be cut off from the outside world. I'm guessing you felt afraid, hurt, alone, completely powerless, and I'm sorry about that. All right. Number 7 is admitting fault, meaning that you're saying it was my fault that I did it. Number 8 is a promise for forbearance, meaning I am going to do this so that I will not do it again. And this is something that's almost always, if not always, missing on this show when people apologize, is some statement that you have thought about or that you're in the process of thinking about how you're not going to do it again in the future. I'm sorry for taking your phone away. It was because of this. I feel bad. You must have felt powerless. It really is just an awful thing. I'm pretty sure I did it for this reason. And my plan for the future is we need to go to therapy, or I'm going to monitor my distress level. And when I get to a 4, I'm going to take a walk around the block. Or you have every right to hold on to your phone. And next time, feel free to just, call the police on me if I'm going to take away your phone. I don't know. Those aren't great options. But my point is that you have some plan for how to resist the urge to do it in the future. Because If you don't exhibit that, one, you're not proving to the other person that you're really apologizing, because if you're really sorry, then you will take the time to make plans so you don't do it again. If you're really sorry, you'll take the time to think, why did I do that? How am I going to avoid doing that in the future? What's my plan here? Number 9 is offering reparation. This isn't always something that you need to have in an apology. You need to have all the other ones. You don't necessarily need to have this one, but it is a good idea in that you can say, how can I make it up to you? Okay, so that sort of thing. Number 10 is requesting apology acceptance. So this is always something you need to do. At the end, you want to say, do you accept my apology? This is important because the other person might say no, because I don't hear you conveying emotions. I don't hear you promising that you're going to try to not do it again. I don't hear you really apologizing for it. I hear you saying the words, but I'm not convinced. So then okay, go back to the drawing board. Let me really try to convince you that I'm sorry and that I am taking this very seriously and that I am, So it's all those things. You say you're sorry. You name the offense, what you did wrong. Take responsibility for it. You attempt to explain, not excuse. You convey your emotion of remorse. You address the emotion that you provoked in the other person. You admit that it's your fault. You promise measures that you're going to take to avoid doing it in the future. Number 9, if you want to, you offer reparation. And number 10, you request acceptance of the apology. So let's watch to see if Colt does all 10 of those things. He's done the first 2. He says he's sorry, and he named the offense. Let's see what else he does here. Hey, deserving listeners, as you know, I'm constantly recommending that people go to therapy. We all need therapy from time to time. One of the options available that is definitely worth checking out is BetterHelp.com. So if you're looking for a therapist, I would give it a try by going to BetterHelp.com/Kirk. Make sure you use the /Kirk because you get 10% off your first month, and it helps us out. I get a lot of emails from you saying that you're looking for a therapist. As you watch these videos, I know many of you have been motivated to find your own therapist, but I know it can be really hard to find a good one to work with. Like I said, one of the options available to try is BetterHelp.com/Kirk. And you should know that this service is available to clients worldwide, which is amazing. I've been told that you can start communicating with your therapist in under 24 hours. You can message with your counselor anytime. Plus, you can schedule weekly video or phone sessions. And I've been told that it's often less expensive than in-person therapy. So go to BetterHelp.com/Kirk to get 10% off your first month of therapy today.
You took off my data and you took off the Wi-Fi.
I regret what I did. I'm sorry.
For being arrested, blame Coach. Because he took off my phone. I feel like it's the only way that I can communicate. So I feel that he broke my rights when he took my phone off.
I didn't want to escalate the problem, but I did. Things just got out of control.
All right, it's a little bit in the direction, but it's also not. He's saying I was losing control, but things, well, let's rewind and let's hear, because I'm already forgetting what he said. There was a little direction in the good category, and then seemed like one step forward, 2 steps back. Let's watch again.
It's the only way that I can communicate. So I feel that he broke my rights when he took my phone off.
I didn't want to escalate the problem, but I did. Things just got out of control.
I didn't want to escalate the problem, but I did. All right, so that's a statement of my intention was this, but I did that. All right, so it's kind of a baby step forward in the apology. But then he says things just got out of control. All right, that's releasing responsibility from what you did wrong. Let's continue watching.
Yes, I was arrested. They treated me really bad. And they never told me the reason that I was arrested.
So right now, I think Larissa is trying to convey to him, trying to spoon feed him a little bit. This is my experience, and I'm looking for some indication that you're sorry about that and that it affects you, that you acknowledge what I went through, and that you're sorry that you did that. Now, I want to have a caveat and say, and maybe you all know, but I do not know what happened that night while they got in that fight. There's just no information about it. They don't go into detail about it. Larissa has yet to tell her side of the story. I would love to hear that. I guess just out of curiosity's sake, I guess. But the point is that who knows? But we do know that taking away a phone, there's really no reason for that. And we have certainly not heard a good enough reason for that. So we can point to that moment in what was probably a long fight as definitely his fault. So, who knows what was going on? The point is that right now she's trying to spoon feed him, I think, a little bit. It's just like, okay, let me tell you how I feel and how it affected me, and then maybe you'll step in and apologize for that. So again, that is number 6. So number 6 is addressing the emotions or damage to the offended party. And I think she's trying to say, this is how it affected me, and then you can address that. All right, let's watch.
Just put in the car for 3 hours, crying. At this point, I was like, okay, what the coach told to them that I did, what's happening?
I didn't say anything. I didn't make a statement.
After hearing what coach told the police the first time I got arrested, I don't trust in him anymore. I'm a criminal now in America, you know?
You've never been convicted. You've been charged once, dismissed, and now you're charged again.
So this is a very common problem. I think he thinks he's helping by pointing that out. She's really worried about being a criminal in the United States. It's very distressing to her, naturally. And he's trying to reassure her by saying, you're not a criminal. You've never been convicted of anything. All right, I don't know if that reassures her, but if you fully apologized and said, I know how you feel. I can imagine how you feel. You probably feel really hurt by me and alone, and you're in another country, and you spent 2 different times in detention, and you feel like at any moment I could do that again to you, and you feel powerless, and you feel like I'm not on your side. I get that you feel that way, and I'm sorry. I'm guessing that would really help, but he's yet to do that. I think he's trying, but failing at the 10 principles of apology. Name that say I'm sorry, name the offense, take responsibility, attempt to explain, not excuse, convey emotion, address the emotions in her, admit that it's your fault, promise that you'll do something to change it, offer a reparation, how can I make it up to you, and request acceptance of the apology. So we've seen almost nothing of that. Now, we're not here to just blast on him. What we're here is to use this as an example for our own lives. When you are apologizing, follow those principles, not by going through the motions, but those behaviors exhibit what you've done internally, emotionally, and put enough effort into actually addressing what you did wrong. And when you say all those things, it is evidence of all that stuff, and the person will hear that. So anyway, I think he's done apologizing, so I think we have our answer as to how many of those 10 elements he would address. All right, well, that does it for that episode. Let me know what you think in the comments. Subscribe if you want to. Hit the bell if you want to. And everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.